and go from there. But hello and welcome everybody who is logged in. We were here with Dillon Brown of Texas Trophy Hunters. If you guys don't know, check them out. And although they are based in Texas, a lot of what they do helps conservationalists. It helps hunting as a sport and the science of it across the board all over the country. So definitely check them out. If you are from Texas, I'm sure that even if you don't know, you've probably seen the decals on the trucks and on the hats and things, the little goal and everything. I mean, you can't really go anywhere in Texas without seeing it, which is awesome. But hello to Dillon, and thanks so much for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
Of course. And I am Vanessa Boyer with SDI. We've also got Brian Dolch here as well. Say hi, Brian.
Hey, how's it going?
You can talk. Awesome. No. So you guys know that you can use the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. If you don't see it, just kind of hover or use your little mouse. Look for the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen if you have any questions. There's also a chat that most of you are already using right now to say hello and what's up. Tell us if you're a member or if you know about Texas Trophy Hunters. But if you have questions, definitely put it in the Q&A. So to get things started, I'll ask Dillon a question after he's done responding, because I think he is typing to everybody in the chat right now. I love it.
I'm fully interactive.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you do, how you got started, and we'll go from there.
Okay. So I am currently the Director of Sales and the Director of Digital Media. I've been with the organization going on 2 years, so still kind of fresh for me, especially for an organization that's been around so long. But my main role is to, number one, make sure that that all of our products and services reach their intended customers. So for Hunters Extravaganza, our magazine, we want to make sure we have the right advertisers and the right content to entertain, inform, and educate our audience. But also digital media is a really big part of my job. And we are a very traditional organization in the sense that we have a magazine, we host events, we've got a television show you can see on the Pursuit channel. But we all know social media and the internet is very big. It's important for any business to stay alive, to stay fresh, to stay engaged with the biggest and largest audiences. So that is one of my core initiatives, is improving and expanding our digital presence and making sure that what we do can be found on the internet, and just communicating with all the people who want to either become a member, or maybe they want to learn about improving your deer herd or hunting tips, tactics, things like that. Make sure that all that information is available online, and also the traditional sources like our magazine. So that's my job in a nutshell.
Well, that's awesome. Now, I do also want to say to anybody throwing in anything in the chat, if you want, oh, bye, Brian. No, if you want anybody to, if you want everybody to see it, make sure to select that you want it to go to all panelists and participants. If you want to just send it to us, obviously use that drop down to just select for the panelists. But also to go into a little bit about what you were just saying, Dillon, I know we've talked before about you being very big into hunting, but what it took for you to start this job and kind of how that's changed the amount of hunting you get to do, and what a lot of people think about what you get to do and the truth behind it. So can you go into that a little bit?
Absolutely. That is one of the funny things about being in the hunting industry. And I'll take it back even a little bit farther. Whenever I was in college and when I graduated, I was working for Cabela's, which I'm sure everybody's been in one of those retail stores. They're amazing. But that was my first realization that working in the hunting industry, unless you're a guide or an outfitter working on a ranch, your peak season is during hunting season. So it's one of the, call it a fallacy of being in the hunting industry, that's what we get to do all day, every day. You know, at the end of the day, we sell advertising and we have an extravaganza, and we try and find ways of educating, entertaining, and informing our audience. And that doesn't always include going out into the field and hunting, whatever it might be. So every now and then we do get the special privilege of going to some awesome places. I can say that I've done some really, really cool things in this job and in my hunting career. But I do come from a family that has manufactured hunting products, specifically archery equipment, for the last 22 years. And again, very deeply rooted in my family. It's a part of who we are, professionally and personally. But that's always been the big thing for me is trying to find a way to do what I love for a living. And there's a lot of people out in the industry who want to do that as well. I encourage everybody to pursue that path. But definitely take that into consideration that unless you're going to be, just a name drop here, if you're going to be like Michael Waddell or Jim Shockey, they hunt for a living. So being in the hunting industry doesn't always mean that you get to do that every day. But in any case, do what you love. And I certainly love what I do and the companies that I've been fortunate enough to work for. Like I said, Cabela's and my family business and now Texas Trophy Hunters.
Well, that is awesome. Yeah, people think that Brian and I just sit at home and gunsmith all day, but really, if you want to do that, maybe, take an SDI program and then go into it. I love my job and love what I do, and encourage anybody to get into the field if they can. But I wish that's what I sat around and did all day.
Yeah, and I wish I hunted a lot more than I do. But, that is one of the cool things about Texas is that we're certainly not limited to, say, whitetail season or really any just singular season. In Texas, you can hunt 365 days a year, and that is one of the special things that we get to do. Hog hunting, bird hunting, whatever it might be, stay within those specific seasons, but there is always something that can be done in Texas. It's a really fun state.
Like snipe hunting. I think there's a lot of snipe hunting in Texas.
I think there might be a little bit of snipe hunting.
Yeah.
They might be brought into the state. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can definitely find something either to hunt or fish for any day of the week.
That's awesome. Now tell us a little bit about the Extravaganza, because I don't know, you mentioned it and I'm not sure that everybody here knows, but tell us about what the Extravaganza is.
Yes, the Extravaganza is one of the things that Texas Trophy Hunters does, and it may quite possibly be the biggest thing that we do from just an engagement perspective in a way that you can interact with the association. It's an event that we host every year. This is now our 43rd year of hosting the Extravaganzas. We have tried a lot of different things over the years. I shouldn't necessarily say we, but our organization. We have gone out of Texas. We've tried a lot of different cities, but basically they are consumer events where you can see all the latest and greatest hunting equipment. You can book hunts from guides and outfitters. There's some things in there that are not necessarily hunting related. That's just kind of the nature of all events these days. But at the end of the day, at its core, Hunters Extravaganza is an opportunity for all hunters and outdoorsmen to come together, attend seminars, and learn about managing your deer herd, or tips from Dr. Deer. He may even be talking about chronic wasting disease, which has been a big deal in the hunting community for a long time. You can, like I said, buy products and services. You can even check out SDI. You guys have exhibited with us for a number of years. That's where I met Brian a while back. And again, it's an opportunity for us all to come together as hunters. It's in August. We go from Houston to Fort Worth to San Antonio, and it's a big road trip. So that's the other cool thing about being an exhibitor. But as an attendee, we've got a lot of great, exciting things that go on. And Vanessa, you found that photo earlier of a guy wrestling an alligator. So again, the attractions, the things that we have for the family are just a lot of fun. And it's a really big event. So yeah, these are some photos here from past years. In each city, we have anywhere from, say, 400 to 600 exhibitors, depending on the venue that it's at. But again, just aisle after aisle of different hunting equipment. This is one of the shows right here, the Gator Show. So Gary Soraj, he's from Louisiana. Actually, he's from Beaumont, Texas. But he is just an amazing educator and entertainer. He teaches you about all the different species that he brings to the show, from the snakes to the gators. You get to get up close and personal with them. And it's just a really fun show. I can tell you that growing up in Texas, it's kind of amazing. I used to go to the Hunters Extravaganzas as a kid. So now to be behind the scenes, seeing how it all works, the good and the bad, the ugly, the whole 9 yards. It's quite a production. But I would certainly encourage everybody, if you're in Texas or within driving distance, come on out and see the show. 3-day event, like I said, Houston, Fort Worth, and San Antonio, and just take some time to get to know the other companies that are trying to make your hunting experience better.
Which of the three is the biggest, do you think?
So Houston and Fort Worth are neck and neck. In terms of attendance, Houston and Fort Worth both get around 20 to 21,000 people. That was our numbers from last year, and we anticipate that growing again. But the Fort Worth venue is the largest. It's got the most exhibitors. And this year, I can tell you, we've got some really exciting exhibits coming from companies like Kubota. Polaris is going to be there. Chevrolet, they're going to be introducing and launching a lot of the new vehicles this year. So if you're in the market for a new truck, come by, take a look at the Trophy Hunters Edition. But again, it is a very large-scale format event, and Fort Worth is really kind of the granddaddy of them all.
And one of the things that I was impressed every time I've gone to them is the different classes and stuff that y'all have as well, on top of just the venue. I think there's a lot of good information there for people that are trying to learn a lot more about the hunting experience.
Absolutely. One of the cool seminars that we had last year, one of the most informative in my opinion, and it was new, it was from Ozonics. They came down and they talked about hunting with ozone. So the ways that you can mask your scent utilizing their products or others on the market. But that was very informative for a lot of people. If you've hunted in Texas or anywhere around the country, really, oftentimes you're out there, you're sweating, your body is emitting odor constantly. So having the right tools and knowing how to use them is important. Literally, they were talking about how that product can work, the science behind it, but also how to use it in the field. That way you're not just guessing. You can hear from the creators, the inventors, the pro staff who use it day in and day out. That is one of the best things. And at our core, with Trophy Hunters, like I said, we want to help to inform hunters, to educate them, and also at the end of the day, entertain them. That's a lot of what we do in our TV show and on social media, is entertainment. At the end of the day, we like to have fun with this. It's not all just business day in and day out. Hunting should be fun for everybody that's involved in it. But SDI, we got to talk to you guys about doing a seminar as well, because I think there are a lot of things people could and should know about, just general gun maintenance, different things to make sure that your equipment is ready for the field. I think that'd be awesome for this year or next year.
Yeah, for sure. So I personally got into firearms. I mean, my grandfather was a big advocate of everybody in his family, especially because he had 3 daughters and no sons, like learning how to shoot. But for me, what got me excited was hunting. And that's kind of what, I mean, it was my mom that took me hunting the first couple of times. And I think what you guys do with kids, with women or individuals who have never hunted before, what advice would you give to somebody wanting to bring a kid into the sport of hunting or into conservation, or whether it's a kid or not, somebody who's never hunted? What do you guys do, and what advice do you have?
That's a great question, and it is something that you hear a lot of people talking about, is getting the next generation involved. There is no secret that hunting numbers the number of hunters, I should say, is declining, and that's kind of twofold. The number of licenses sold is one thing that we see, but also per capita. The concentration or the density of hunters in this country is shrinking. So getting the next generation involved is extremely important. One of the things that we do is we have partnerships with organizations who specialize in this type of activity or curriculum. To name a few, the Outdoors Tomorrow Foundation, they have actually a physical education curriculum for schools. So let's say that's 270 days out of the year that kids are in school. They can be learning outdoor skills. And then during the summer, Outdoor Texas Camps is an organization that we partner with, again, to teach these types of skills. The main thing that I would suggest to people is find something that is manageable. It's not an inexpensive activity by any means, but find something, an activity that is manageable to where you can introduce somebody to the sport. And I will say this, one of the important things is trying to get parents involved as well. One of the things that we've noticed in the industry is that if you take somebody hunting and they go back to their normal routine day in and day out, it may have been a neat experience, kind of a novelty at one point in time in their life, but how do you make that a habit? And I'll tell you right now, I'm guilty of say, New Year's resolutions. I create them every year, but it takes about 6 weeks for it to become a habit. And the same thing goes for outdoor activities. So the thing that I would encourage is try and find a way to take somebody, not just once, but introduce them to it and slowly but surely teach them new things over time. So you may start by taking somebody just into the backyard to shoot a bow, or take them down to the local gun range, teach them basic gun safety, but have multiple touch points with that individual so that maybe it becomes a habit over time. But again, it is a big part of our organization, because if we don't have hunters, we wouldn't have members. And at the end of the day, if we don't have that, then companies like ours, we go out of business. We don't have a community to serve at that point. But youth education is extremely important. And the other thing that is neat about what we do, and some opportunities we've had, is taking individuals on their first hunting experience that are, say, middle age, whether they be 30 to 50 years old. There's never a bad time to go outside, to start hunting, fishing, whatever it is. We had a really neat experience last year. This was 2018, might have started in 2017 when we got the first email. But somebody reached out to trophy hunters just through our website, info@ttha.com. They just said, hey, I've never hunted. I grew up in a family where my father hunted, but upon his passing, it just kind of went away. There was never the opportunity to go. And this individual, he was in San Antonio. He reached out to us, and just through some very basic steps of, go to the gun range, learn what you need to be able to hunt with, practice with that tool. And then we connected this individual with some hunting opportunities in the state, and ultimately got to tell his story through the magazine. And it was just an amazing experience that we got to share with this individual. And I think he was 44, 45 years old. So it was not too late by any means for him to start. And I would say he's hooked now. I think we got word that his wife has now been hunting a couple times on her own. And again, he's just taking that knowledge and spreading it out to everybody he touches, which is really powerful. And we were happy to be involved with that.
Now that's awesome. And that brings me to another point that you brought up to me when we were talking before. You said our celebrities are our members. Like what do you mean by that? And when it comes to your members basically being the people who bring you content and sharing their stories, what can somebody do to be a part of that? And is that only based in Texas?
So that is a great point about who we are. We tell people that we are the Texas Trophy Hunters Association, not just figuratively, but literally, in the sense that without hunters, and without those hunters being members or attending our show, watching our television show, whatever it might be, we wouldn't exist. We were built on that concept that we are for our members and we are of them. And at the end of the day, you won't see me on our television show. I might have had one cameo, like in the background. I was dragging a hog that somebody had shot. But we take our members hunting. Our members provide the content for our magazine. It's their hunting stories. And so that is one of the benefits of membership, is that you not only get to, say, wear the t-shirt or, you know, have the decal on your truck. That's great from a camaraderie standpoint. But at the end of the day, we want to help people get outdoors. We want to give them the opportunity to be on television if you choose to have that. For instance, if you come out to the Hunters Extravaganzas and you enter the deer contest or one of our random raffles, last year we took 2 individuals hunting, and their hunts were filmed. You can see that those episodes are airing live right now. But again, at the end of the day, the celebrities are our members, and we have had celebrities attend the Hunters Extravaganzas, and we've had celebrity and guest appearances. But you'll find that most of our content is just regular people. And I like to think that I am also just a regular person, and I'm a member, but in no way a celebrity. That's really not who we are behind the scenes of Trophy Hunters. But everything we do is to try and engage with our members, sharing their content. We love it when people send us their stories for the magazine, or even a photo. Like, message us on social media, send us a pic of one of your recent hunts, tell us a little bit about it, and that's what we're gonna spread out to the rest of the world, is that the hunting community is strong. We're in it together. We realize that without each other and without one voice, that we're all going to struggle to be able to maintain this lifestyle, to have these freedoms, and then to be able to go out and go hunt, or to be able to own a gun, to be able to go hunt with. We have to protect those Second Amendment rights. And so at the end of the day, this is about everybody, not just us being on the camera. I was a little even reluctant to be on camera with you guys, because I don't do this kind of stuff regularly, but I'm having fun with it.
So that's actually a question I have for you. With the magazine and it being your members doing providing the content, are you seeing any kind of trends and differences that, you know, from the days that y'all started? What year did y'all start? Was it in 75? Yeah,
1975. So we're in our 44th year.
So that time frame, what kind of differences are y'all seeing from content from your members?
It's a great question. And I would say that the content for the magazine maybe has declined a little bit, in the sense that the volume, we don't get as many submissions. It's not to say that there aren't as many people hunting in Texas. Our numbers are still very strong. But the medium through which people communicate has definitely changed. So in the past, if you wanted to share that story, print was the best source. In 1975, 1980, not even until 2008 really, Facebook didn't exist. So there wasn't an opportunity to post that, send it out to thousands of people. The magazine and those traditional mediums, that's what we all had. And again, as a kid, I remember growing up getting that magazine, just sitting there taking a look at all the big deer that people had shot throughout the season. But I guess, Brian, at the end of the day, we do get maybe fewer stories. We have to pull them from our audience more than they are pushed to us.
But I guess my question is more along the lines of, is the content more result focused or technique focused? What are they writing about? What's the interest that most of your content that's coming in?
Gotcha. Yeah, it is more really results focused, in the sense that this was the experience I went on. These are some high level details, not so much about what they used in the hunt. Oftentimes we will get into rifle versus bow. They may talk about the caliber that they used. But most of our members are not really sharing the tips and the tricks. Not always. It does happen. Yeah. We do have some staff writers, some really seasoned hunters and knowledgeable individuals that contribute the tips, tricks, and tactics. So they'll talk about some of the latest gear on the market and tell you about how to use it. Or Dr. Deer, he may talk to you about the tips for hunting deer bucks in the rut. So you'll see different things from different contributors. But our members, I think to your question, our members are more talking about the experience that they had in the field. We get a lot of family stories, things like that, about the experience, the trophy experience that they had. But our regular contributors, our staff writers, they're going to provide more of the educational content. The members are going to provide what I would call the entertainment piece.
And I had one more question before I cut Vanessa off again. You had mentioned before there's a disease that that you're really kind of trying to get some information out about. Can you tell us about that?
That'd be CWD.
Yeah.
Yeah. So CWD is a big topic in the hunting industry, and I am by no means a scientist, so I won't dig too deep and basically digging a hole for myself. But at the end of the day, it is something that we all should be aware of. But I wouldn't say we should be afraid of it. And I think that our writers, our editor, Horace Gore, and Dr. James Kroll, Dr. Deere, they have done extensive research into chronic wasting disease, and they have really shown both sides. So there's facts, and then there's falsehoods, there's fiction, there's things that are meant to scare hunters.
Can you elaborate on what it is a little bit?
Yeah, so CWD is again, not being a scientist here, but it is a prion. This is a brain parasite essentially that is affecting cervids. So if it's a deer, mule deer, or whitetail deer, mule deer, or even elk, it's been found in all of these different species of deer. And what it essentially does is it affects their ability to do basic functions. So you'll find quote unquote zombie deer. They'll just kind of be standing around aimlessly. They won't have that fear of humans. That's one of the symptoms or the things that people have observed about animals infected with CWD. But again, there's been a lot of research that goes into it. You can even find videos that we did on YouTube dating back a number of years. And it's essentially something that Trophy Hunters is trying to provide information. We're trying to educate people about, again, what is fact, what is fiction. And we've spent a lot of time and effort in providing the right information to hunters. Here's an interesting thing. I would encourage you to go check this out on YouTube. Dr. Kroll, our editor, Horace Gore, and our founder, Jerry Johnston, they all went to, I believe it was Wisconsin. And this was probably around 2004, 2005. They went to Wisconsin and they filmed what was taking place, the hysteria around CWD, mass killings of white-tailed deer in the area. And they talked to some locals who basically said, we live off the land. We live off the animals that we take from it. And our editor, Horace Gore, he ate an animal. He ate venison that was cooked and prepared from an animal that was infected with CWD. And I want to say Horace turns 84 years old this year. So, I mean, it is one of those things that people will say that it's transmittable to humans. I can't think of an instance where that has been proven true. And again, we've done extensive research and have the best experts in the industry contributing to our magazine and contributing to the Trophy Hunters Association, proving that is not true. It's more of a scare tactic, and it may be at large something bigger to discourage people from hunting or to say that you shouldn't be doing this act. But the prion, the actual organism that infects deer, that exists. You can't disprove that doesn't exist. But what its effects are and the history of CWD is really, I think, what's up for debate. And that's where the real science comes into play. That's what I find most interesting is how they find examples of how CWD has been around for quite some time, and really has just kind of been maybe blown out of proportion or just exacerbated by the media. And there again, that's the good and bad of the digital space and social media. You put something that's false out there and it spreads like wildfire, unfortunately. But we're trying to spread what we have found to be science and factual evidence. And hopefully it catches like wildfire as well.
So how do you explain the people that I've tried to talk to before that just stare at me blankly, and the people that can't drive around, places like Phoenix and Nashville and Dallas? I assume that they are chronically wasting. No, I'm kidding. But seriously though, how would you, if you happen to have a plot, or you have a hunting lease, or whether you are breeding or not, if you run into something like that, how do you nip it in the bud? How do you get rid of it?
I think the best thing to do is to contact your local wildlife authority, or whatever the state regulatory body is. There's nothing that says that if you see an animal with CWD, now again, I'm basing this off the facts that I know, but there's nothing that I've ever seen or heard that says if you see an animal with CWD, or that you believe is infected with CWD, that you can take matters into your own hands, or for instance, shoot that animal and it not count towards your normal tags, right? So you have to think along those lines. This is not something that you should be handling on your own. But it is something that probably should be raised to the awareness of your state regulatory body. So in Texas, the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, there are certain counties in Texas where even if you shoot any animal, any deer, that whether you believe it is infected or not, you have to go through certain checkpoints, and they will do a test on that animal to make sure that it is not infected. Again, check your county listings with Texas Parks and Wildlife to make sure that where you're hunting, you don't have to go through that step. It is very important you follow the rules and the law. But again, if you encounter that, I would just say raise the awareness to the authorities that you've seen something that might be suspicious. But Vanessa, honestly, I think that it's rare to come across this in the wild. If you're a breeding deer, there are a lot of rules and regulations and best practices, just best practices in general for how you should manage your herd. If you are simply managing, but not necessarily breeding deer, if you're just managing a herd on your property, again, just be observant. Watch the animals, see what they're doing. And again, if you see this animal that's just kind of wandering aimlessly, and you can find videos all over the internet, you can almost walk up to them at times. I don't encourage that by any means. Could be kind of dangerous. But if you're managing your herd, stay informed. Definitely look at the information presented by organizations like ours, the Texas Trophy Hunters Association, QDMA. There's a lot of places where you can get information about that. And again, I think it would probably be very rare for the average person, especially the large volume of hunters that exist and the large amount of acreage where we hunt on across the country. You're probably unlikely to come across that.
Okay, and we did have a question, which I know it is contagious to whatever extent, to other deer, to elk, to moose, to things like that. Do you know if it spreads to feral hogs?
I can't say that I've ever heard of that. That's a great question that I will take away from this conversation and see if Dr. Deer, for instance, if he's ever heard of a case like that. But to my knowledge, CWD has not spread to anything other than members of the deer family. So as you mentioned, elk are susceptible, mule deer, white-tailed deer. Those are the primary species in game that can contract CWD. But to my knowledge, if they've got that, now a moose, that's another one. I'll have to ask Dr. Deer. I'm not sure.
I think moose are susceptible, but I'm no scientist. I don't know.
Me neither. And we don't have moose down here in Texas, so it's not one of those things that we run across regularly. But yeah, it is definitely something to be aware of. And again, just take everything kind of with a grain of salt. Collect as much information as possible from reputable sources. Just because you see one post or one article doesn't make it fact. I mean,
right.
as much information as you can about that if it is of concern to you. Now, there might be some people out there that would, I'm not going to say hope for hogs to contract CWD, but if there was a way that we could help control the spread of hogs and the devastation that they cause, that is definitely something that I know a lot of people are looking for. And, you know, I'm a big supporter of making hogs as easy to hunt as possible, whether that means working with local landowners and ranchers, opening the season. I know there's a lot of special regulations in the state of Texas where you can hunt land sometimes without a license, as long as you have permission from the landowner. You can certainly hunt them year round. Check with TPWD and make sure you know the rules and regulations, but by all means, hunt as many hogs as you can and have fun doing it. That's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I think most places that have feral hogs, I think it is a year-round or at least close to. And I think most people that have land and know what kind of destruction they do, I'm pretty sure they're on the same page. So
without a doubt. So Vanessa, you're in Arizona, right?
SDI is based out of Arizona. I am actually in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have hogs here too.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering there. And I think in Arizona, they'll probably have a lot of javelina, and hogs are spreading everywhere, so I'm sure they're there by now. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm sure everybody's looking for opportunities to be able to take out a few hogs this season.
Yeah, this season, because it is all the time. No.
All the time. Yeah, this year. Put it this year.
I'm still trying to find one and get me one that will produce some bacon, but I haven't done that yet. So.
For sure.
Yeah. So we also had a couple questions about what you guys do. Now, I know you're based out of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have to be in Texas to be a member?
No, not at all. We actually have members from around the world that are just very interested in Texas hunting. At the end of the day, the majority of the content that we produce, the audience that we typically cater to, is from Texas. But if you are passionate about hunting, whether that be in Texas or anywhere in the world, there is content and there is information to be had or to be learned, to be shared within our organization. Here very recently, there was a story that came out about an individual from Texas. He was a member of, or is a member of Texas Trophy Hunters, and he went to Pakistan and killed a markhor goat. And this was a great story about conservation. He had to pay the local community and then the regulatory authority in Pakistan to be able to hunt this animal. And it was a great story about his hunt, the experience that he had traveling to that part of the world, but also conservation in action. And the money, the percentage of what he paid for that tag that went back to the local community that has coalesced, and they've come together to find a way to utilize natural resources to help bring money to their community. So again, it's something that people from Texas are definitely members. We have a large majority of our membership base here, but again, people from around the world, whether it be in Europe or to the Pacific countries of Australia and New Zealand, they do also choose to become members as well. So from wherever you are, if you like deer hunting and just being a part of a great hunting organization, there are certainly some benefits that you can take advantage of wherever you're at.
That's awesome. Now, do you have to be a member to submit an article?
Yes. So that is one of the benefits of membership, is your ability and your privilege to be published in our magazine. And that's really just for the magazine and our television show. If it's for social media purposes, we are always interested in whatever people are hunting, wherever they're at. So social media is kind of free and open to everybody, but we will make mention of members if they choose to be mentioned in the post when we share the content. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to be published in our magazine, definitely be a member. And at the end of the day, that experience also gets you a copy of the magazine. So you'll want that keepsake for years in the future.
And membership's what, $35?
Yeah, $35 for a year. It goes all the way up from a 1 year to a 3 year, 5 year, and then we also have a Platinum Life membership, which is $1,500. You get some extraordinary benefits. Obviously, the magazine for life. You get into the Hunters Extravaganza plus tickets for friends and family if you're a Platinum Life member. You get a lot of really great premiums, as we call them. The premiums are leather goods that are embossed with Texas Trophy Hunters. We even put your name on it. So again, some really special things that we do for the PLMs, or Platinum Life members, as we call it. This year, I'm happy to go ahead and kind of let the cat out of the bag on this one, but we are having a really neat happy hour event and a kind of a networking event of sorts at Hunters Extravaganza behind the scenes for members. So definitely walk the floor. It's free, or it's not free, but it's open to everybody. But take a step behind the curtains and come back and join the member happy hour this year if you're attending in Houston, Fort Worth, or San Antonio. We'll have it at all 3 cities.
And then you get to hang out with you, right?
Yes, if I'm not working on the floor. I'm on call 24/7 during Hunters Extravaganza. But absolutely, if you see me walking around the show, stop me, say hello. I'd definitely love to know if you saw me on this webinar here. And yeah, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information's online. You can find me on social media at any time. I'm available anytime.
And then I do want you to tell everybody where to go to find you guys on social media, but I will also say it's one of the easiest things to find. You just type in Texas Trophy Hunters and,
Yes.
and everything that comes up, and it's a lot, is you guys, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, so there are a couple other organizations that are still a part of ours that may come up. We've got college chapters, Texas A&M, Texas State University, Stephen F. Austin, Texas Tech, Baylor's coming online hopefully this year. Baylor Bears out there, you got to get with it. But yeah, if you type in Texas Trophy Hunters Association, you should see the parent organization or the main page for the association, and then there may be some other subgroups or sub-pages beneath there. Certainly follow them. The youth college chapters, they're doing some really special things. Again, getting or the younger generation involved and finding a way to make those connections at a young age. But yeah, you can find us wherever you search, whether it be on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Those are our social media platforms that we regularly participate with. And then if you search for us on the internet, whatever browser, type in Texas Trophy Hunters Association, you should be able to find our website, ttha.com, pretty easily. And being the digital media is part of what I do. If you can't, please let me know, because I'm doing something wrong and I want to fix that. But yeah, you should be able to find us anywhere.
Awesome. Now, I know you guys also do a lot of work with, we talked about youth a little bit, but with our veterans, with the military. Do you have any favorite stories? Do you guys have veterans or military membership discounts?
Yes, we do. We've got discounts for our military men and women. That's active, retired. In any case, if you have served in the military, there is a discount to your membership. And at the Hunters Extravaganza, there are some unique opportunities there as well. That is free for any military members or first responders to the Hunters Extravaganza. But going back to what we talked about with youth activation and engagement, the military organizations, those are people that we partner with as well. So we always try to find organizations that are doing special things. For instance, like the Military Warrior Support Foundation, they do some fabulous things around the country by making sure that the transition home is a positive experience for the service man or woman and also their family. But then there are other organizations like Army Bass Anglers, Army Buck Hunters. We try and partner with them at a deep level to make sure that we are working with anybody who's doing good things in the hunting community.
Awesome. And we had a couple more questions in the chat. Why do you think the number of hunters is getting smaller every year? He says, I have hunted all my life, other than being overseas, but I think it has to do with the cost of licenses and the lack of land to hunt.
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it is something that is really impacting a lot of people, myself included. I make no secret about it. Um, in Texas, we have private land and public land, and I'm not going to say we have a little public land because we actually have about 1 million acres of public land. Now, what you can hunt, when you can hunt, how you can hunt is definitely regulated on that public land. But yeah, the majority of the land is privately owned in Texas, so you're either going to lease it or you're going to essentially pay by the day if you don't own the land. So Texas is a unique state to be able to hunt in. The story I told earlier about Justin Gaglio being middle-aged, wanting to learn how to hunt, that was a challenge that he faced because he couldn't just pick up a weapon and go out to public land as you might be able to do, say, in the western states where there's a lot of public land. That is something that is definitely affecting our industry. But at the same time, the opportunities exist. They are something that you have to go to organizations like maybe Texas Trophy Hunters, search our website for leases, land, and outfitters, and find the type of opportunity that you're looking for. It does exist out there. It may just not be as you would, view it, say, in a perfect world. It is a unique scenario hunting in Texas. But the other part of the question, I think, was, why are numbers declining? And I think that that's two things. Culturally, we are seeing the density of hunters in the population shift to where there are more non-hunters than there are hunters. That's going back to family background, the education, and creating those opportunities for people to go out into the woods. The other thing that we see happening quite often is we have a large majority of the hunting population that is aging out of the sport. There was a study released last year that said that at the age 61, that is the turning point in an individual's life when they may choose to no longer hunt. License sales decrease at 61 years of age. So we have an aging population. We've got a lot of people choosing to not participate. Again, it could be based on access, or it could be just based on their ability. They may just be at a point in their life where they're no longer capable or interested in hunting. But again, numbers of hunters, there's two sides to that. There's two ways of looking at it, and it's not necessarily one versus the other. But it is a fact that the density and the number of hunters compared to non-hunters is going in the wrong direction right now. But last year, I want to say in Texas, there were nearly 1 million hunting licenses sold, and we reached 1 million a few years back. So the numbers in Texas are very strong as a representation of the industry. Texas is a big state for hunting. It's part of our culture. So it's nice to be in a state where we do have a lot of hunters and a lot of hunting opportunity.
So when you're saying,
come on, Brian. Jeez.
Okay, Brian, you're up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I think to clarify, you're saying the numbers of the hunting population, you're talking nationwide, not just the state of Texas.
Yeah, generally speaking, in Texas, we still do experience some of those same trends where, again, you may have people aging out. We've got a large influx of people coming to the state of Texas, and not all of them are hunters. So the density may be going down. But again, by volume, the number of hunting licenses sold year to year is relatively constant. There's ups and downs to that.
Sure.
But, as a whole, for the United States of America, yes, the same trends apply. It's just maybe different in certain areas.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Can I talk now, Brian? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Vanessa, you're up.
All right. Okay, thanks. Now we have another question in here. How rare are black deer? Have you ever seen a black deer?
A black deer. That's something that I personally have never seen in the wild. I've seen photos of it, and I'm curious about the question. I don't know if they're still logged on, but is this an animal that is melanistic or has some form of a pigment issue? Again, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know all the right terminology here. Forgive me. But
he says that he's seen it in Southeast Texas. I think that's where he lives.
Yeah, so I think that that is definitely something that we've all seen online on social media. That is one of those things. It's you know a black deer versus a deer that doesn't have the pigment and maybe their body is composed of white hair. Those are the things that you see a lot of photos online whenever you come across them. But personally, I haven't seen any whitetail on either end of that color spectrum.
Mhm. I wonder what color the tail would be. No, I don't know. It would have
Hopefully,
to be
or
black.
probably white. Hey, if that person who did put the question out there, if they've got a photo, by all means, hit us up on social media. Send that to us.
It was a white tail with black horns and a pack loose. But I would be interested in seeing that too. So definitely send that to Dillon and they can get that posted. I personally have never seen one other than just now Googling it when I saw the question pop up. And I've seen an albino deer.
Right?
Yeah. I tried to talk to him too, and he apparently did not have chronic waist disease because he didn't stick around to listen.
Yeah, that's going to be a normal behavior from most animals. They're gonna run from you.
Yeah. Well, that's also people with me too, but that's just personal stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I definitely look forward to talking to you more. I want to see, I want to come down and hang out with Brian whenever you guys do the extravaganza. Even if Brian cuts me off all the time. He doesn't. But thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Dillon. Thank you, Brian. Thank you to everybody who logged in. If you are a student or graduate of SDI, so awesome to have you on these webinars. If not, and you want to learn more about our programs, about SDI, go to sdi.edu. And definitely, sign up for more information if you want to get updates on any other webinars we are doing in the future. But Dillon, you're wonderful. Brian, you're decent. And everybody else on here is great too. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And do you have anything else that you want to, I know we went over social medias and stuff, but you want to put it back out there?
Yeah, absolutely. Connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, and also watch our videos on YouTube. But if you are in the area of Houston, Fort Worth, or San Antonio in August, please stop by the Hunters Extravaganza and feel free to track me down. I'll be there for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, Dillon.
Yeah, thank y'all. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.